Long-term followers of the Yakovich channel know that I try to put out an Australia Day video each year with mixed success, and when I do they're usually met with a mixed reception. But this year I was hoping that as Australians we might find some common ground. So what are we supposed to celebrate on Australia Day? According to the Australia Day website, it's all what's great about Australia and being Australian. Our history, our achievements, and of course our diversity. Yep, that ever-growing focus on diversity. But surprisingly, there's no mention of our culture. So what, we don't celebrate Australian culture on Australia Day? Well, apparently not, as what little non-Indigenous culture we did manage to cobble together over the past 200 years or so is slowly being eroded away because of the good old cultural cringe. So what is actually culturally Australian, as most of what we typically consider to be Australian has been imported from overseas? The only two things I can think of that are truly Australian are Australian rules and our lingo, mate. But while our aerial ping pong seems to be kicking along just fine, Australian colloquialisms and the way we speak are directly under attack as we speak it. Like it or not, our accent and colloquialisms are a huge part of what defines us at home and overseas. As most of us don't actually own hats with corks hanging off the brim, the only way you can pick an Aussie in a crowd is when they open their mouths. Our accent is distinctive, some say even grating, and our fondness of colloquialism sets us further apart from other cultures. We embrace our slang and we love to abbreviate. It's part of our culture. I mean, in what other country would you chuck a wobbly after leaving your cozies at the Rellos in Brizzy at Chrissy? As Australians, it's what we do. Abbreviate and deformalise. Gazza, Jono, Shano, Davo, Bottolo, Arvo, Bizzo, Journo, Polly, Mozzie, and so on. While most of these abridgments are fondly embraced, with Macca's being a prime example, more and more our cultural vernacular is being rejected, sometimes even being labelled as offensive. So how does it work then? Australians are free to express their cultural urge to abbreviate with people's names, like Jacko, Liz, Shazza, Kimbo, and Wol. Places like Freo, Tassie, Jindy and the Gong, and even Oz itself. Organisations, the Salvos, the Greenies, DJs, Woolies. Occupations, tradie, postie, bricky, fiery, pubes, nasho, milko, gyno, garbo and fisho. Or just in general, smoko, servo, rego, bicky, brekkie, prezzies, tracky, rolly, pokey, chocky, chewy, bundy, blowy, roo, ute, clicks, snag, sav, posy, pav, lippy, hoon, undies, exy and the good old durry. It's more than obvious that this is not just a mannerism of an isolated or dated section of Australian society, but a true part of our mainstream culture. So how is it this cultural norm somehow becomes inappropriate only when dealing with some other cultures and minorities? How is it that all of a sudden this defining facet of our way of life becomes that offensive it can actually be classified as illegal? But bizarrely you can get away with saying Westie, Aussie, Ocker, Skippy, maybe even Pom, Kiwi, Seppo, Packy and Ouija, but try saying Refo, Lebo or Muzzy in mixed company and see how far it gets you. About as far as saying Homo, Lezo and now Tranny, I'm guessing. Truthfully, when they tell us that on Australia Day we should celebrate, even embrace diversity and multiculturalism, I honestly don't have a problem with it. But why doesn't this diversity we're embracing include us all? Our culture shouldn't be shamed, even legislated into becoming subservient to others, as surely respect is a two-way street. If someone isn't comfortable when confronted with an aspect of another culture, they're told to stop being racist and get over it. So what's the difference when someone from another culture isn't comfortable with an Australian colloquialism? Are they told to stop being racist and get over it? Not bloody likely. Instead, it's now often the case that we're being told that because of this perceived discomfort, the colloquialism can no longer be used, as now, mystically, it's become an inappropriate term. I honestly don't know how it works. Is there some sort of secret committee that sits once a month and decides what's appropriate and what's inappropriate? Actually, I wish there were, as at least there'd be some sort of logical oversight. As it stands at the moment, any numbat can get the ball rolling by not actually taking offence themselves, but just interpreting a colloquialism as possibly offensive to another culture and take offence on their behalf. And that's it. No further recourse.